Michelle, because I wasn't here.
Right here, 215.
Yeah.
I did have a chance to read through it. I did not see anything that jumped out at me.
Okay.
Everything looked pretty good.
So actually, one person can't approve that, right, Carl? We'd have to wait for Jeff to, I wasn't
Oh,
present
sure.
at that meeting. I was on vacation for the minutes.
Okay, yeah, that's
So-
fine.
Yeah, so
All
put that
right.
one aside.
All right, we'll do the sign warrants later. Okay, review and approve the MassDOT MOU to the Safe Streets.
Okay, so I received a memorandum of understanding, the MOU, regarding the project for safe routes to school, and there's a number of items here that I, want to make sure that the board is aware of, and we're going to have to probably, depending upon the plan that they design. So the town is going to be responsible for legal fees, easement and land acquisition costs, recording fees, survey fees, and things of that nature. And since we don't have a design, we're not quite clear as to how that's going to affect the cost the town's going to incur. So what I can do is I can sign this, and obviously we would want to wait to see what the design looks like. But at some point, we're going to have to appropriate some money to cover these costs. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I read the whole thing through, and it is quite involved, and there could be some expenses. But the feeling I got, and Kyle, you can speak up anytime, the feeling I got when we took the tour was there's a lot of areas that
There's a lot of concern.
a lot of concern, and I don't see how we can do. I want to sign this because I want them to know that we're behind what they can do, because it could be $1.2 million they give us, and I don't want to be negative on this at all. But I have no idea what the design is going to be, and one of the engineers from Lennox, and not that he has any authority for what Boston does either, but, I was mentioning about the issue, like, sidewalks is going to create an issue for us in town with plowing and stuff, what we can do. And he said, well, when the design comes, he said, we can always work with the towns, whatever. So I'm assuming that's true, and then we'd be able to come up with any details that we might be against or say, hey, we really can't do this. But at this point, it's so preliminary. I just feel that we need to sign it because we want to move forward.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to deal with the rest later. Dan?
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement with you. Just, sign this to kind of move to the next phase and kind of see where we end up from there.
Yeah, and deal with it as it comes down the pike.
Okay,
Okay?
that's what we'll do then.
All right, thank you.
That's good.
All right, next is Mass Works grant application for the southern half of Middle Road.
Okay, so I drafted a letter of support, which I obviously am going to need you to approve, for the second segment of Middle Road. So we have $1 million grant to do the northern section of Middle Road, and we're going for a grant for another $1 million to do the southern section of Middle Road. And part of the grant application is letters of support. So if you want to peruse that for a moment, it's kind of brief and to the point. Then that can become part of the grant application, in which I'm involved in right now.
Yes.
So I believe, if memory serves me correctly, tomorrow, April 4th, is when the One Stop for Growth opens.
Okay.
So the master plan grant is in the final stages of being ready to submit. I have my numbers for the retaining wall. I have my numbers for Southern Middle Road. I've submitted the grant for DER's culvert replacement program. I've reached out and gotten support from our senator. And so we're going as quickly as we can, but this is basically just paperwork.
Yep, yep. Appreciate all the work you're doing on all these grants. I know it takes a lot of time. And also, so we can talk about if there's any other things that we might be able to put in
Okay.
to do that.
Yeah, at some point, probably gonna need to buy a camera. You know, I'm taking pictures of potholes and things like that with my cell phone. And of course, we all know how the reception is so poor here in town hall. But then I'm emailing them to myself and then to the town, and it's just a very convoluted process. And I would like to talk to Jason about getting a camera for the town that's web-enabled.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's on agenda, but it comes with the photos is the MVP program.
Yep.
Courtney sent an email. I wondered if we had any photos of the flooding around the Four Corners area and things like
Oh,
that.
we
So, I
got
mean,
that.
people always want photos of things, especially if we're applying for grants and stuff, so.
So sometimes in a grant application, your response is limited to a number of words. And when they say a photo is worth 1,000 words,
It's
what
true.
as many photos are there?
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need to approve?
I make a motion to approve the MassWorks grant. That's the notice for, I'm sorry,
South Middle.
the South Middle Road. All right.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would like to take this time, I meant to do it at the beginning. As people know, Jeff Levanis's wife, Mary Lou, passed away last week. Jeff's been on the Board of Selectmen for years and school committee and very active in town. And I'd like to, on behalf of Clarksburg Select Board, the town employees and myself, we would like to extend our sincere condolences to Jeff Levanis and his family on the passage of Mary Lou Levanis. The town of Clarksburg has been well served by their contributions to public service and help, for which we are grateful. And I would like to just have a moment of silence for Jeff's wife. Okay. Yep, sad news. Okay, next is the funding of the second segment of the digital sign in Town Hall.
So we discussed a little bit at our last meeting about the necessity to get the second sign.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear that we're going to use ARPA funds. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, last we talked, you were gonna look and see if there's any other funds that you may be able to pull from, whether it be the technology fund, or you mentioned another one that might be available.
At this point, the technology fund, I don't believe there's enough in there.
Okay.
And I don't have another source at this point. So we have 23,000 more or less left in the ARPA account. The sign is going to be about $2,800. So if you are okay with that, that's how we'll proceed. Okay.
Yeah,
I would just like to get the second sign, in order, so here in the next.
definitely.
I would have in lunch felt sweet.
Yeah, get it out there.
Done.
And I think the ARPA funds is actually a good use for it, because it is,
It involves everybody.
Yeah, it's-
well, it is.
That's one of the criteria is that they want the funds to be spent in a manner that improves and/or affects everybody, or as many people as possible,
Yeah, and it's
for the
also,
good of the town.
yeah, and it's also, for emergencies, I mean, look at the storms that can happen and things like that, so definitely it falls under the criteria. So I'll make a motion, we take those funds out of the ARPA funds for the second side of the sign.
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we got the Right to Farm is on the next list. I know, Dan, I was able to read the Right to Farm,
Yeah, I read through it also.
and I thought it looked good. I also have, issue I was brought up on a farm, just so everybody knows, and I know in springtime, a lot of neighbors would complain and stuff, because they were always fertilizing the fields and things like this, and there's always issues, but in my opinion, then I'll let you give your opinion. I just feel it's very important that we try to keep the farms we have and work with the farms we have. It's amazing in my lifetime how many farms just in this area have been closed down for one reason or another, and I think we need to support them as much as we can. How do you feel about that?
No, I'm in agreement with you on that. You know, I read through it word by word, and nothing jumped out at me. You know,
No, the only thing I had a little concern with was the signage coming in the town. There's one, and I'm not sure if that's something the town,
It's required.
it's required, okay.
Because here's the thing, is that, and this is the logic behind it, is if somebody were to be looking to either rent or buy a house in town, that, you know, the town is responsible for providing them with notice. That is the
Okay.
most consistent and visible way to do so. Obviously, you know, you can do the website, but, you know, if you're a home buyer hypothetically from California and you're coming in looking at, you know, houses in the area, you might want to know that, that we're a right to
Right to farm community.
my understanding is just, you know, a small aluminum sign that would kind of get bolted to the signpost underneath, like the welcome.
No, you can't do that.
Oh, you can't.
That has
Okay.
to meet MUCT.
Okay.
Uniform Traffic Control, and I forget what the M is, but anyways, it's a federal.
Municipal, MUTCD.
And so that's why our green community signs can't go on those, because they don't meet
Gotcha.
MUCT guidelines, that's why they're on the back of the building. Because first, and I brought that up to green communities. I mean, ideally, you know, we would like to tell people, we're a green community, we're trying to be, you know, good stewards of the environment, but you can't. So, you know, we do what we can with what we got where we can. But that would be
Okay.
a requirement to do it, and then we would have to meet the criteria of the MUCTC regulations.
Okay, and that's fine. I just, why I brought it up, I worked for Mass DOT, which you know, at one time, there was 11 signs between Mossert's crossroad there, Middle Road comes out, up to the state line, and it was like bing, 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 bing. And it's like, people can't possibly read all those signs coming down through. I find them distracting, and it didn't look good. And I just feel sometimes we're sign happy, and again, I'm not against it, and if it's a regulation, we have to do it. I just wanted to question it and see what people thought about it. Would you have anything you want to add, Sharon?
Well, I don't necessarily myself have anything to add. I know that you all had some questions last time. I don't know if you feel that they were, I mean, we were kind of being conversational about
Yep.
those and just letting people bring up whatever came to mind. There were some concerns about, I mean, it might have been Jeff's question. He was concerned about, you know, what if my neighbor puts quite a number of pigs on their lot and things like that. I mean, the right to farm bylaw isn't in any way regulatory.
Right.
So the town has some zoning things in place, and the town could always add extra regulations that define more clearly something.
Okay.
There's, I mean, and you should help me out on this, Carl, with the zoning right now. I mean, the right to farm is also aimed at commercial agriculture.
Yeah.
So it's not trying to legislate or even get involved, in particular, not that a complaint couldn't come up with a, you know, a home that is doing something that the neighbors object. And with that, with your zoning with AR, I believe, I mean, I'm not clear, it looked like in one place it states, maybe I should just pull it out rather than do it off the top of my head. In your use regulation, in the AR zoning, the minimum lot is 2 acres. But then further down the middle of the use regulation page, any area that is not able, AR is any area that's not able to hook into the town's public sewer system. So I don't know of any lots that cannot plug into the sewer system because it's, you know, fairly confined area, have less than 2 acres. Or is,
Yeah, and
does that
that,
make sense?
and reading it and looking into it somewhat, I looked at it's more of our zoning that regulates a lot of this. And like, again, I didn't see a problem with this, or this would be a conflict with that. And it's something that the town can always regulate. Carl, do you have anything?
I think where Jeff was going with it is that he was thinking more in a zoning overlay district for where farming was appropriate and where it wasn't. Because I know, you know, we've had some issues with folks on a postage stamp lot in densely built and populated areas in town that have, you know, whole flocks going on. And so I think that was where he
Was his concern?
I hate to speak for him, you know, I really do. But that's was my interpretation of it.
Yeah, and I understand that, again, up where I live, up Oregon Road, there was a family that, they may have had 2 acres, but it's just they got a couple of cows and they have chickens all over the place, and it's like, I just look at it that our zoning bylaws, or whatever, they gotta follow them. I thought this was kind of separate from this commission, the Agricultural Commission, because I could say, I feel you are non-regulatory. It's more advisory and what that happens.
If the town wanted to look into
Yeah.
further regulation, that could be done.
Okay.
And there are, I mean, I'm not a legal counsel by any stretch of the word, but I don't know, you might want to take a look a bit at this just for your own information. Sorry, I have, for my own use, had highlighted some things, but you're welcome to this copy. It's an agricultural law memo in regards to an amendment to the
Okay.
Massachusetts, was it 40A farming that had, at one time,
Yeah, I think Martha sent me this morning.
a limit of,
Um,
a minimum of 5 acres
That was
for
looking through.
commercial farming, and there was an amendment to that law passed in 2010 that lowered the limit at the state level to 2 acres. And that there's also a income producing minimum of as well at the state level, that the town is able to and have a different.
Okay, well, unless, Carl, you have any other objections or whatever, I think we can approve the proposal. So I'll make a motion to approve the right to farm law for the town of Clarksburg.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. It's not actually a law, it's a mission statement and a guideline.
All right, mission statement and
Are
guideline.
we looking now at the warrant? The warrant is, I thought, is what we were dealing with at this moment, the warrant for the bylaw. For the town.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at this, Carl. That's what I read and was taken into effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the proposal, yeah, that's what I have also.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll bring that to town meeting.
Yeah, we'll bring that town meeting to the voters, by law, they have to vote on it.
Is it, or what would the process be if the Agricultural Commission wanted to furnish a handout at the town meeting?
That probably would be recommended.
Yeah,
I mean, we can put the wording to the effect that, you know, will the voters vote to adopt, you know, or what have you. But, certainly don't want to be adding this to the
Right,
warrant.
right. But the warrants are only going to be like a paragraph, so what you do, you'd hand out,
Yeah.
as a handout, you would hand out
That's
this.
typical. We've done that
Yeah.
before.
It's, that, the hope that people would understand what they are gonna be voting on and.
Yes.
Right,
And the thing is too, is that, when the warrant is done, it'll be posted to the website. We'll have the attachments there too, so people can familiarize themselves with what the town meeting is going to present to them so that they're not caught off guard.
and then hopefully Martha will be there, so if there are questions, she'll be able to answer them better than probably we can, but
I
whatever.
mean, we had kind of, and Martha may have sent you this, I'm not-
Yeah, she sent me a couple of things this
This was
morning.
something, I mean, it still might be too long, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's small time.
this is the one, you can have, that's what we have, but we have a page
And
two
it was
with it.
a step towards working.
Yeah,
this
hers
and
is
that.
printed on two sides. So that's what, oh,
No, see, we got we got the second page of that, this is that page.
No, that's
It's
the
di-
whole
it's different.
proposal for the.
Oh, I got you, all right,
This
so
is
you're
so
saying,
separate. This is to, in an effort to cut down from 2 pages to 1,
I got you,
but maybe.
I see the fact that's a summary at the top and ours says proposal.
I got you.
And so maybe
So-
now the thing is to cut it, bigger type and cut it down.
Yeah, or hand this out.
Yeah.
So people can read it so they know, and then the article, Carl will just summarize
Right,
the
just
article.
summarize
Yeah,
a paragraph, surely.
So, yeah, if we could have a copy of that when we finish, I'll make a copy
Okay.
for us so
Yeah,
we
you
can
may
look at it.
want-
All right, and then the last thing that came up on this, right, Mission, I know you had sold your farm and you moved to North Adams. We are looking
what I'm
into,
happy about.
well, no. But we are looking into, Martha had a couple, she talked to somebody from Northampton and apparently they were able to, I want to say get around it. It's like their viewpoint down there was, it's a non-regulatory commission. Therefore, it's pretty loose at what the town can decide to do. But we do have, Martha mentioned, what's in our charter. I'm not sure what a charter or what our bylaws are. I can say we got to look into that. But I would think at this point, because it's non-regulatory and because if you don't have 3 members, you're technically not a commission, I don't see why, until we get this resolved and maybe through the town meeting, why we just can't leave things alone. Because I'm not sure what our authority is and if it's a requirement,
I
whatever.
don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
either.
so we need to look at that. So I would say, let's just keep things as is. And Dan, I don't know if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, just, let us kind of figure it out on our end. If it's allowed, part of our bylaws, charter, whatever Carol's gonna look into.
We'll
And,
figure it out.
Yeah, we'll kind of, we'll
Sure.
work with you, try to figure it out, we're not against it, we just gotta make sure
Yeah,
we're doing it correctly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, may I say?
Yep.
Okay, one interrupt. I mean, and then, of course, I mean, there is something in the Massachusetts state laws you want to look at as well.
Yes.
And, I want what's best.
Yeah.
It's fine. I was going to suggest that in the short term, while everybody's looking at this and deciding how you want to proceed, is that, and if you're fine with it, that I'm remaining on the Agricultural Commission for the time being, so it can continue to operate, but that I will not vote on anything. So I can do that on my own. I can just say I will be abstaining until this
It's resolved.
is resolved.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair.
I think that's a good way to handle it until we get all
Yes.
the details. I don't like to
We'll go right
overreact.
to the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th,
That's it.
because things are going to be determined at the end of May. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of have a handle on where to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I also read one thing that Martha sent, I think it was from the state, that you needed to be the resident of the town or you have to be somehow involved, like either working on a farm in town or something like that. So it looks like it might be a loose definition. And again, I just don't want to jump to conclusions.
Sure. But you're, you know,
I appreciate all the work you've done on it, and,
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah.
It'd be my pleasure to continue or just to be a friend.
you've done a great job.
And I certainly understand, I mean, you are going for the long term and what's going to serve the long term, and you
Yep.
always have to think about
Yep.
what that means, and certainly I don't want you to be jumping through hoops on my behalf, because that doesn't make sense.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, so we'll just investigate this and leave it as going right through May and June, and we'll get it solved by the end of the fiscal year, for sure. Okay. All right, all set then? We're all set with that, Carl? Okay, next is public comments. It's hearing none, I'll adjourn the meeting at 11:27.